Bienvenue at Leah's Library. I forgot the English word. Welcome to Leah's Library. Find yourself a cozy corner, get yourself some tea, I guess, and let's get started. Allons-y. So, today we'll be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag, which was started by Booktubers Ely and Chami, I believe is how you pronounce those. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But it's just a series of questions that just kind of nicely sums up the first half of the reading year. So we're going to be looking over those questions today, starting with the first question, which is the best book that you've read so far. And I've read a lot of good books so far this year. I guess I should mention how many books in total I read this year. Oopsie, I should have done this before. So far I've read 31 books this year, and a lot of them have been really good. So this was not an easy decision, but upon a lot of reflection, I think the best book I read so far this year was Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I mean, it was excellently written. It is an excellent book, and I'm still thinking about it several months later, so yeah. And for those unaware, Song of Achilles is a retelling of the Achilles myth from Greek mythology, but told from Patroclus's point of view, his childhood friend and lover. And it's just fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. And every now and then I still think of them and get sad. The second question is best sequel that you've read. And if you've been watching my videos up until this point, it will probably come as no surprise that my favorite sequel that I've read so far this year was The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is one of my new favorite series. It was everything I wanted in a sequel. It expanded the world, it expanded the characters, and I just loved all of them so much. I just want them all to be happy. I won't go into too much detail because I've talked about this series a fair bit recently, but suffice to say that I think it's excellent and I highly encourage you all to read it. Yeah. Also, the artwork on the covers is beautiful, which is like kind of irrelevant, but we all judge books by their covers. It's okay. This is a safe place. We can say that here. Third question is new release that I haven't read yet but really want to, and that would be Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Shiran Zhao. Their other book, Iron Widow, is one of my new favorite books of all time, and they recently published their second book, which is from a different series. It is a middle grade, and I can't remember exactly what it's about. Look up a description. So Google Books describes it as Percy Jackson meets Tristan Strong in this hilarious, action-packed middle-grade contemporary fantasy that follows a young boy as he journeys across China to seal the underworld shut and save the mortal realm. So I know this incorporates, the author is also a YouTuber, and I watched their videos before I even knew they were an author. And so I know they've talked about this book a little bit, and I know it deals with a lot of Chinese mythology, and I always find that interesting. I love the Percy Jackson series, and I believe they've described it as, I believe they've described this series as like Percy Jackson, but with Chinese mythology instead. And that sounds pretty cool, and I'm really excited to read it. I just, have to wait for my library to get it in. I have, je l'ai commandé. Why am I not able to stick to one language today? I ordered it from the library, but it always takes so long for them to arrive, so hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I'm not entirely sure if this is accurate, but according to Goodreads, The Shadow Casket by Chris Wooding is coming out later this year, which is the sequel to The Ember Blade, which I read last year and really enjoyed. It's very much I always describe it as if Lord of the Rings had been written by Brandon Sanderson and then edited by Neil Gaiman. It's just lovely. Well, maybe lovely isn't the correct word. It's very much a homage to Lord of the Rings with a lot of horror elements thrown in, with a lot of really interesting characters. And again, I love them all and I want good things for them, and good things don't always happen to them, and it hurts me. But I'm really excited for the next book because I really enjoyed the first one. And apparently, according to Goodreads, which can be a fickle beast, it is coming out, I believe, this November. So, here's hoping. Okay, question number, I think we're at 5 now. Yeah, 5 is biggest disappointment. And that would absolutely be Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I love Greek mythology retellings. I love any sort of mythology retelling, actually. And I love when minor characters from mythology get more of a voice, especially if they're female characters. Mythology is not often kind to female characters. So I was really excited for it, and it just didn't do it for me. Some of the writing wasn't working for me. I was quite frankly annoyed a lot by Ariadne herself, which is never what you want, right? I don't think that was the intention. But yeah, I still rated it 3 out of 5 stars, which for me means if it sounds interesting to you, then check it out, but wasn't maybe necessarily the book for me. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and for me that was definitely The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I enjoyed it so much. I liked it so much, and it's so not the type of book I ever would have picked up on my own. I'm more of a fantasy reader. Like occasionally I read contemporary books, but very rarely, and if I do, there's usually, some sort of twist, or it's set in like the 50s, or well, I guess that would make it contemporary now, would it? But it's just books about normal people doing normal people things I typically don't migrate towards. So when this book was recommended to me, I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And oh my goodness, I sped read it. I just glitched. I read it very quickly, and it was just very excellent. So yeah, definitely the biggest surprise of the year so far. Would very much recommend that book, by the way. Jiminy Cricket, please pick it up. 7 is new favorite author, and I think I have 2. Jennifer Townsend is one of them. She wrote a series called, what is it called? Well, the first one was called Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. And it's just such a lovely series. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be talking about it soon because I read it in June. So when I do my June wrap up, I'll be talking about it. But it's so lovely and whimsical and magical, and where has this been for so long? But yeah, just the writing in it was so lovely and whimsical, and I'm so excited to keep reading this series. And the other author is Madeline Miller, who wrote Song of Achilles and Circe, 2 books that I very much enjoyed. But I just love how she captures the feeling of Greek epics, and she makes you feel like you're reading this ancient story. I just love the way she writes. Next question is newest fictional crush. And I hate to disappoint, but I don't actually have any crushes on any fictional characters that I read so far this year. But because I don't want to be a cop-out and not answer the question, I'm going to answer it more so out of character that I've read recently that I would probably date. Out of all the characters I've read, I've come to the conclusion that out of all of them, I would probably date May, the Reaper from Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. She's a Reaper, and she's pretty cool, and I really liked her, so that's it. Those are my criteria. Next question, which I think is question 8. Where are we at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Question 9 is newest favorite character. And again, I have a lot of characters that I really enjoyed. But I'm probably going to have to go with Morrigan Crow from Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. Did I call her Jennifer earlier? No, I think I said Jessica. It's Jessica. But yeah, favorite character is probably Morrigan Crow. She's so hard done by. Whoa, why are there so many loud cars? People can drive quietly. But yeah, Morrigan is just, she's so hard done by. Everyone is so mean to her in her home because they think she's cursed. And she struggles so much with trying to be independent, but also she just really wants to be loved because nobody's ever really loved her whole life. And she just wants a family. And I love that. She kind of finally gets a family. And yeah, I love her a lot. And I just really want good things for her. Question number 10 is book that made you cry. And I don't often cry reading books. Sometimes I think about it really hard. But, rarely do tears escape. However, I happened to be reading Under the Whispering Door on a particularly bad day, shortly after my dog passed away, and there's a ghost dog in Under the Whispering Door. So yeah, all that combined, just it's fine. It's not, but it's fine. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the next question is book that made you happy. And for me, that was it was Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Just reading Terry Pratchett books just make me happy in general, and I think this one is my favorite. And yeah, it's just so whimsical and funny and uplifting, and then also really hard hitting and really deep, and I just always enjoy reading his books. So yeah, definitely Hogfather for this one. The next question is most beautiful book that you bought or were gifted, and I am poor, so I don't buy books. However, me and my partner took a trip to Ottawa a couple months ago, and he was kind enough to buy a book for me, and it's the prettiest thing I've ever seen, quite possibly. It's I was gonna say Under the Whispering Door again. It's The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. And just look at how pretty that is. I just sometimes find myself staring at it, and I always find something new. Like today, I found this little paper boat on the wave that I never saw before. And it's so lovely. And on top of that, it was a really good story that I really enjoyed. It's a retelling of the Shimchong myth from Korean folklore. So it was very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. On top of it being just absolutely stunning to look at. The last question is books that you need to read before the end of the year. And I have, my TBR list is always depressingly large, but we'll get through it. But some that I've narrowed down. One would definitely be Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow, which is the sequel to Nevermore. Again, I'm just really excited to continue that series because I loved it so much. There was so much joy in it, as well as a lot of things that made me feel a lot of emotions. So just another one is Poison Steeped in Magic. Oh, who's that by? Oh, I didn't write down the author names. That was a jerk move on my part. Poison Steeped in Magic by Judy I. Lin, which I've somehow forgot what it's about, but it has something to do with steep teas and magic that is tied to different teas. And I love magic, and I love tea. So that just sounds awesome to me, and I'm really excited to read it. Another one is Alazzo by Darcy Little Badger.
Hi, Editing Leia here. I just realized I've been mispronouncing the name of this book this whole time. It's actually pronounced Alazzo, so every time you hear me say Alazzo, just imagine I'm saying Alazzo, and whenever you talk about this book in the future, just remember it is pronounced Alazzo. Do not make my mistake. Okay, thank you. Let's get back to the video now.
Again, I have a tendency of writing down books to read, and I will read the title and go, oh yeah, I'm really excited about that one, but I forget completely what they're about. So it is about a Lipan Apache girl named Alazzo, and she lives in this strange version of America where magic is just kind of a thing, and there are also monsters. And she must rely on her wits, skills, and friends to discover the mystery behind her cousin's murder. It sums that up. I can't remember where I found that book, but I read the description and immediately went, yes, please. And the last one that I'll mention today is Loveless by Alice Oseman. For a lot of reasons, mostly because I recently watched Heartstopper and loved it so much and wanted to look into more of her work. And I heard about Loveless and how the main character is Ace, and I'm always looking for more books with Ace representation. So yeah, those are 3 that I really need to read before the end of the year. And that's it. That's the list. Thank you for listening as always. Hope you enjoyed. As always, again, feel free to leave me any of your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. I always like talking about books. You can find me on Instagram at Leia Like the Princess, where you can also find my little store, Moonlit Cat Creations, or you can go directly to its website at moonlitcatcreations.com. We're having a month-long Pride sale for all of Pride Month, so go check it out if you're interested. And always remember to stay cozy.